All right, guys, this is Doc Favors here. Welcome to episode number 2 as we go through the master class on the double up, which simply means U squared. Once again, guys, this is the book that we're using here. It's a great book, as you can see. It's really helping some people, and I have some great notes for you. So those of you who are watching here on Facebook, I can actually see. You all can come on in, chime in, feel free to put some comments down there. And those of you who are on YouTube, of course, the replay will be available. And we thank you all for being there. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And we appreciate that. Okay. Now, with that being said, guys, hey, the first lesson or session that we did was about the fly. And, it was a true story. And I hope you all received some of that. I got good feedback and good comments. So let's really get right into this one. Now, today, guys, I'm getting ready to introduce you to a concept, a mindset, a thought-provoking concept, okay? And that concept simply is, I want you to approach it like it's a new school of thought. And I think that'll be better for you to give you a better understanding of, in fact, what's going on. So if you have your book, you can join me. We're actually on page 1. Excuse me. If you have your book, you can go to page 1. And you can join me there. And I'm going to set that up right there, of course. Let me do it this way. And we'll make sure we get into this content, okay? All right, so now, if you have that there. So the author of the book, you all, says that this is a promise. Now, of course, Price Pritchett calls it a promise. I call it a new thought, just to be honest with you. And the reason why I call it a new thought is because sometimes we don't understand. You don't have to understand everything up front. And in our society, we are taught that you got to grow incrementally. You got to know everything. You got to crawl before you walk, so on and so forth. And I want to really let you all know that you don't have to be content with improving incrementally or gradually. I'm going to say that again. You don't have to be content with improving incrementally or gradually. There is a thing that's called U squared. There is a thing that's called quantum leaps and quantum physics. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So the promise. And so as we introduce this to you, I want you all to really embrace, get in the mindset that you're going to be embracing a new thought here. Okay. And this thought can really change your life. It's changed my life. This is one of my favorite books. I'm telling you, one that really changed my life. It's right up there with, of course, the Bible. It's right up there with Think and Grow Rich. It's right up there with As a Man Thinketh. So let's get into this now. He says in the first piece on page 2, he says, right now, in this moment, you are capable of exponential improvement in your performance. Now, guys, I got a few vocabulary words for you, but I can't go on any further until we actually break down this one sentence. And for those of you who are paying attention, I want you to pay attention also to how I study, to how I actually approach the material. Because trust me, if you were to come into any of my coaching programs, what makes our coaching programs and the style that I coach with so unique, you all, is because of the way that I have been taught how to study. Hear me when I tell you all, studying unleashes so many things for you, so many possibilities. Studying is like the cheat code when you know how to study. And I teach it in one of my courses. It's called The Art of Studying, right? The art of education, the art of learning. And it defies some odd because it helps people, man. For a long time, people thought that I was dyslexic because of my study habits and how I studied. I would read, but then I would write from right to left because, watch this now. And it wasn't because I was dyslexic. It was because when I was younger, I studied Chinese. And if you all know, Chinese write the same way Hebrew write. The Hebrew Bible is written from right to left, not left to right. So I got used to looking at words and playing word games and word puzzles. Like I used to be in academic games in junior high school. So we would have Wolf and Proof on set, certain little mind games, right? That would challenge and we would get trophies for this stuff. So anyway, I started to look at it and it taught me how to break down every word and isolate. And for my, if you're in ministry, you can extrapolate from the text. And it teaches you how to read, the text in a certain way in its entirety. It actually teaches you all phraseology and how to take words and make sure that they are put together. And I think the study when you talk about linguistics and the study of words, you all, here's something, an interesting fact for you, and how these words are formed in their relation to other words. That's called morphology. So I studied morphology, which is the linguistical study of how words are formed. And also study etymology, which is the study in the history of words. So here's an interesting thing. When I looked up the history, the etymology of performance, first you get to the definition. The word performance really means action or process or carrying out or accomplishing an action, task, or foundation. And I'm gonna read that one more time. The word performance means the action or process of carrying out or accomplishing an action, task, or function. So then I said, well, what is the etymology of performance? And I found some very interesting things. Did you know that since the 1500s, the word performance literally meant completion of something? And then when it got to the 1600s and the 1709, somewhere around the 1739, somewhere around the history of America, it then began to mean performing arts, as if you were in a play or entertainment. But I'd like to hone in on the first or the oldest etymological definition, which means something in completion. Now read the sentence with that information in mind, guys. Right now, in this moment, you are capable of exponential improvement in your what? Completion of things. You see? So if we look at that definition of performance and saying that we have performed a task, we're performing something to its completion. And I'm telling you that the name of this book says U squared, then the completion of you and your destiny has to do with the squaring of you. Now, that's the first piece right there. Another word that stands out if in the definition of performance is action. So then what is action? You're going to hear another word that we just used called process. For action is the fact or process of doing something. So we understand, you all, that the promise of Price Pritchett in the book U Squared, in terms of my lens, says that in this season, we're coming into a place and a time, which is right now. Even if you're watching this video a day from now, years from now, right? It's always a now time, right? That you can make these changes to your performance so that you can get the results that you desire. Now that is very powerful. So if we say performance inside the definition is action or process of carrying out something or accomplishing something, and then you have to take action so that you can complete the task or function, you all, then that means we're always supposed to be in the process, having either gone into doing something or coming out of doing something, but we know we're always supposed to be doing something. Now, he says, and I quote, right now, in this moment, you are capable of exponential improvement in this process of achievement, which is performance. Now let's look at this word. Exponential, you all, simply means more and more rapid. Now I want you to think about that. See, when you're doing things and you're growing things incrementally, step by step by step, I'm telling you, and I was trained like this until it got to a certain point in my life. I said, man, you know what? If I go this route, I'm gonna be an old man before I make it to a place to where I can please God, help my family, support my family, raise my kids. It's gonna take too long. And I wasn't necessarily trying to rush the process, guys, but I knew and sensed even back then that there had to have been a better way. Now I know I'm defying all logic right now. I know you all, there's a term that we use in the PG Institute that you got to be willing to do the illogical if you want to really U square and make these quantum leaps. And so watch this. He says, then understand this, the word improve means to make better. And I got a video somewhere. There's always, it can always be better, right? I think Einstein or somebody said that quote, or no, I forget his name, but it's in there. Anyway, so the goal now is to improve your performance to the point where you experience exponential improvement. That means more and more rapid of making you better. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know where you are. I don't know what pain points you have. You are free to write them down. All I'm saying is when I first started reading this book years ago, when it was first given to me by a mentor, it helped me get out of the mindset and progress to a new level of thinking that says, you know what? I don't have to grow incrementally. I can really make a exponential jump in my thought process and my ministry and my business, you all, in my relationships. And I'm telling you, that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what is happening. Some of my clients, I don't know if they on here or not because I can't see, but some of my clients are experiencing this right now. I'm talking about some of them have moved from different states to come down and be under our leadership and our mentorship, man. You know, we got clients that are abroad, y'all, that are experiencing this stuff. So we know it works. All right. So here's the thing. That's just the first sentence. Imagine that's just the first sentence. Now we're going to add the second sentence. He says, first sentence, I'll reiterate, right now in this moment, you are capable. That means you have an ability to what? Not gradually, exponentially improve on your performance. He then says you can multiply your personal effectiveness, hit new heights, and shatter your old achievement records. The results you can have will be hard for you to imagine. Guys, that is where the new thought comes in, because the very next sentence says you can become U squared. Now, the introduction of this new thought tells you and goes against, for some of us anyway, everything you've been taught up until now. If you're in corporate America, you got your own business, you've been taught that you got to go through step by step, follow the process, follow the rules. But I'm telling you, man, there's a way to speed up this process. And I believe it not because I'm just reading this book. I believe it because I actually live it. So here's the thing. He says, it's going to be hard for you to imagine, but you really can become U squared. Now, let's take a moment and think about that, because I took a deep dive into U squared, and of course, the mathematical term and the algebraic use of it. And I took a deep dive. I studied just that one line, you can become U squared. I studied that for about a month, getting into it, getting around it. And it's simple, but I wanted to take the long way so that I could explain it to you all. So U squared basically means to multiply yourself times yourself. Now, here's the thing. What I had to do and get into a right frame of mind is that when I first started reading it, I wasn't happy with myself. So I didn't want to multiply that. Come on, I wish somebody would just let me be honest and speak for the start today. I did not want to multiply the results that I was getting and where I was. Now, come on now. Now, I can't be the only one who would be truthful and say that. So then what did I have to do? In my mind, I wanted to get some better results and then multiply that. Are y'all hearing me? So now, unbeknownst to me, of course, that went against the rules of what we were supposed to be doing. But at the time, that's where my mind was. And it wasn't until I got all the way back at the beginning that was what it was ultimately saying. You can double up until you can remember the numbers in the example that I gave in the first lesson about 2, I believe it was 2, that if you start with 2 and 2 times 2 equals 4 and 4 times 8 is 16, 32, 64, 128, on and so forth. Well, at the time, I didn't realize that I had to double myself to the level where I wanted to double myself. Y'all, I know it sounds crazy, man. I know it sounds crazy, but it is so true, so dangerously practical that it works. So multiply yourself times yourself. Whatever you're doing right now, if you get up and you walk a mile, you want to double that, walk 2. If you don't like the results you're getting, then double the results you're getting. If you're not getting any result, come on, we all getting some type of results. You may not like your results, but you're still getting some type of results. So remember, because this is performance-based, you now got to start thinking about the word action and what process that you're using. See, sometimes you all, it's not the goal that's your problem. It's the methodology. It's the process. It's the action steps or the lack thereof that's causing you not to really hit your breakthrough. Once again, it's ministry, business, relationships, corporate America, your own business, entrepreneur. This applies to everything. You could be out here planting a garden and wondering why your garden won't grow. And I guarantee you, you got a good idea to grow your own produce. But if your produce is not growing, I guarantee you it's something you're doing wrong in the process. All right. All right. So that's what I had to learn. I took the long way just to realize that, you know what? All I need to do is start from where I am. And I suspect that some of you are right now listening to me. If you're feeling some of these pain points, if some of this is landing and resonating with you, you can understand and identify that, you know what, man, I should be further along than I am. And maybe it is the way I'm thinking. Maybe it is the way I'm approaching the whole issue. You know, sometimes when you're going through stuff, the answer is not to try harder. I'm gonna be honest with you. Now I'll leave that for another time because I got a part 2 to this whole series. Anyway, let's get back to this piece so I can get you all out of here. He then says, you don't have to settle for things as they are now. Okay, that's good to know. He says that can change dramatically if you're ready. Now, life is prepared to give you a breakthrough experience. You can jump to a higher orbit of achievement, live the dream, enjoy a completely different plane of success. Now, what is the key word in that paragraph? The key word is, or phrase is, if you're ready. Now, I'm getting ready to say something so deep, and I really want you to catch this, what I'm saying. Many times people think with their conscious mind that they're ready. And they really believe they're ready until the old paradigm kicks in, which is that multitude of habits, system of beliefs, everything you've been trained, you know, when that kicks in, then the real fight happens. And that's when you really need a higher dose of belief, a higher dose of energy, and a discipline, and most important to you all, a higher dose of new thought. Because you have to continue to tell yourself, you got to almost sell yourself on this. And for you people who don't like sales and think you're going to be in business, let me tell you something, in business, this is one of the things you're really going to have to change, because I got a lot of people who are contacting me now saying, hey man, I'm trying to figure out how to get these sales together. And I'm like, yo, you got to sell. You can't be scared to tell people that you're going to offer them something at the end of that thing. Okay. And that's what makes us uniquely different, because I'm not afraid of sales. I study sales. I've been in sales, and I don't have a problem with selling. All right. Now, once again, that's a message for another time. So I'm going to digress. But what I want you to understand right now, if you're ready, if you're really ready, you got to get emotionally involved with that decision. You got to, number one, make a decision, a serious decision. I'm talking about a committed decision. And then you got to get excited about it. I mean, you got to give it some energy, man. You got to perform, right? You got to get your victory poses on. You got to give me a hoorah. Those are my clients. They know what I'm talking about. But anyway, you got to get so involved with it that when the old paradigm starts to doubt, starts to give you worry, starts to give you fear, you can then reject all of those things. Guys, let me tell you something, man. Anytime a negative thought comes into your consciousness, your mind, whether it be through a thought, a suggestion by some other person, you know, whatever, you have to reject that immediately. You cannot let that thought fester and then grow seed and get planted in your subconscious mind where it takes root. You have to. Here's the thing. Anything that you don't reject will automatically be received. So now imagine if you forget to say, you know what, if a thought comes in and say, you know what, man, I'll never be able to get this okay. Immediately, no, I reject that because I can do it. As a matter of fact, I can do whatever I set my mind to. You see, if you think that way and do that, then it'll go away and you'll start back focusing on the goal that you're going after. But if you forget to reject it, you know what'll happen to you guys? Next thing you know, that one seed begins to grow. And you'll start doubting yourself, not only on big goals, you'll start doubting yourself on mediocre goals. And next thing you know, a simple task that you normally could take care of, you'll find yourself doubting yourself to the point to where you become double-minded. I don't know if I should do this anymore. I don't think this is what I want to do. You know, I'm just tired. Come on, y'all have been, I can't be the only one. Now, I'm telling you, and if you're right there, then man, we can help you get out of that and get out of that stupor very quickly, all right? And that's what we're here to do. So watch this now, watch this. He then says, also, you don't have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. That's the new school of thought. Watch, he says, just as your level of performance can improve drastically, so can your rate of accomplishment. Furthermore, the U square formula requires far less effort than you've given in the past. Now that right there, you all. Now, wait a minute, Doc. Wait a minute, Favors. You mean to tell me that I not only have to follow a step-by-step systematic process, in some steps, yeah, you still got to do that, but you're telling me that I can now not have to grow gradually, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, that I can actually add multiplication instead of addition, and that it won't require me to do as much work. It won't require the same amount of effort. Look, y'all, the man said, just as your level of performance can improve drastically, so can your rate of accomplishment. Furthermore, the U squared formula requires far less effort than you've given in the past. That's exactly what he's saying. Now, I'm gonna tell you, it reminds me of something. It reminds me of a term called the big mo, called momentum. See, if you're a sports player, you know when teams get momentum and they get in the groove, right? They can shoot three-pointers, they can throw bombs in football, they can do things effortlessly because they're in a momentum. You know, they're in harmony. Everything is flowing. All cylinders are running on the same cycle. And they, you know, I remember looking at Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas and them back in the day. And they would get to a Vinnie Johnson with microwave, would come off the bench, just raining threes, man. And it would look so effortlessly. Then I go outside and get my basketball and I try to shoot them threes, man. 4 out of 7, 8 is air balls. I'm like, man, this is hard. Well, it's not hard because they've learned how to quantum leap or U square their performance. Yeah, think about that. So now you haven't been reaching your full potential so far because you haven't even come close. Why? No matter how you wish to measure success, regardless of how you define achievement, watch this, y'all, you have barely scratched the surface of what you personally can accomplish. But maybe the time has come to change all that. Maybe you are ready to make here it is, quantum leap. U square, the process or the formula of U squared, you all, is understanding quantum leaps. Now, I'm going to give you a quick definition of quantum leap, but we're going to be going into quantum leaps more deeper next week. I might give you 4 or 5 steps, 4 or 5 characteristics of a quantum leap so you can really add them and really get to it, right? But watch, the word quantum leap simply means a huge, often sudden increase or advance in something. Once again, quantum leap, a huge, often sudden increase or advance in something. Now, guys, let me ask you a question. Let's be honest. I think, for me, I think that it's a very noble thing for a man or woman to want to achieve financial freedom, you know, because I believe that it's one of the greatest goals that you can have because you want to express yourself. We were created to be expressive beings, all right? And I think that's a very noble goal, seriously, because we know we need finances and resources to do anything to show our acts of love. But the one thing about it is the quantum leap, you all, and the study of the quantum leap says that if I get to a certain level of thought process, a certain level of thinking, a new thought, then I'm able to speed the process up. And at first, you know, I was like, yeah, it sounds good, but I'm still looking at this right here. I still have this obligation. I still have, you know, this commitment. I still have not enough resources to do this. Guys, I'm gonna tell you this, man. It wasn't until I got to a point of being sick and tired of just getting there and then getting knocked back down, or someone knew I needed help and would not help me. And I went and got a mentor and really listened to the mentor and made up my mind that if I wanted the results that they were going to have, I was going to listen to them. And one of the very first lessons that one of my mentors taught me, you all, I've had several, but this one I'll always forget. He said, Favors, you don't pay attention enough. I said, pardon me? He said, the answers you seek 9 times out of 10 are always right there in front of your face. You are not aware that they are there. What? Did y'all catch that? So some of the answers that I was seeking were right there. I couldn't discern them. I couldn't see them. I couldn't sense them because of my level of awareness. And I have a video on the 7 levels of awareness. You see, at that time, I was all about self. I got to get it. I got to get it. I got to get it. I didn't know anything about partnerships back then. I didn't know anything about, giving and sowing seeds and getting mentorship. I grew up in a city that says kill or be killed. Darwin, you got to go get it yourself. I didn't know that if I hook up with somebody and we both become partners and we do this and do that, it works that way, at least not when it came to money, something else, maybe a project at school, yeah, but not when it comes to money. So anyway, he told me that lesson. The lesson always stuck with me. And then years later, I found the teaching from Bob Proctor and John Maxwell and Apostle Long, and really begin to hone in on my awareness. And I mean, I studied awareness, you all, for a long time. I can't even tell you it was 2 or 3 months, because I studied each one of those levels of awareness to find myself, to see how to get there. And then when this book came along, it brought all of that back, like, oh, man. So I'm here to tell you, if you're experiencing some of those pain points, guys, or if any of this landed with you and it resonated with you, we have some programs that can really benefit you. And all you got to really do is tap into the resources that we're doing, just like this, But all you got to do is get my link and schedule an appointment. Get on a free conference call with me or somebody on my team, and just let us talk with you a little bit. There's no harm in talking, guys, And I'm gonna tell you, whatever it is, that whatever your biggest pain point is, we got programs that can help you. We've been able to help so many people, but the reality of it is, let me just say this, I'm gonna be done. The reason why we can help so many people is because we found the common denominator, okay? That's a great way to say that. A lot of our pain points are one and the same, especially if it comes to business, money, investments, wanting to have passive income. A lot of it is the same. If you're dealing with emotional distraughtness, mental illness or depression, anxiety, the common denominator is the same. It's all fear. So if I tell you that one of the things we do and we can help you do is remove the biggest pain point, your biggest hurdle, your biggest obstacle, then you got to look at it like dominoes. Once we knock the first one down, the rest of them going to fall. I'm telling you something from experience, y'all. So anyway, U squared, new concept, a new thought, you all. The promise says you do not have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. You really can U square. You can U square you can U square your business, you can U square your relationships. It's just a matter of being aware of how to do it. Okay. So with that being said, you all, this is Dr. Favors. Hey, for my family on YouTube, man, we thank you all for sharing here. As always, if something resonated with you, do your boy a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and please, if you know anyone who's dealing with some of these things, share this transmission, share this video, hit the link, copy the link, post it out, share it to someone who needs this free information. It could change someone's life, man. And with that being said, once again, if you have not joined our private Facebook group where this is viewed and aired right now live, then go ahead. I'll leave that link down below as well. Join the group. We're going to be unveiling some things, launching some things in October that's going to be for you. I'm doing it with you in mind. And so, hey, until then, you all, as always, be positive on purpose, not by accident. This is Dr. Favors. We'll see you next Monday as we start talking about the next chapter, which is called Quantum Leaps. We'll see you next time. Peace.